Hello, everybody, and I want to welcome you to a brand new live stream and podcast. My name is David Nour, and if we haven't had a chance to meet, let's see. I have been a student of business relationships for over 2 decades, working with global clients on really elevating this idea that relationships should be more intentional, they should be more quantifiable, and as such, more strategic to revenue growth, to real innovation, and to lasting change. As you can see by my background, I'm the author of this is book number 12 called Relationship Economics. Before that, I wrote Curve Benders. Before that, I wrote Co-Create. And books for me, you'd be delighted to hear, not writing Harry Potter, so I'm never going to get wealthy writing books. What books do is really allow me to coalesce a lot of very similar challenges and opportunities that I hear, I see across very different organizations, industries, roles, or realm of responsibilities. And at some point, the light bulb goes off that this isn't just this leader issue. This isn't just this company issue. This isn't just this industry issue. It's more pervasive, it's more urgent, and it has real value creation opportunity. So books for me take about 4 years to percolate. I'm running with multiple ideas, and I'm testing a lot of ideas, and I run ideas by people I like, trust, respect, and at some point, you've read enough, you've talked enough, you've coached enough, you've consulted enough about a topic that you feel like you have something to say. And that's when I start writing. Now, and a lot of people are curious. The act of actually writing it takes me about 6 months. You do the first pass, and you go do content compression and editing. But at some point, you feel like I've really curated or ensembled enough of the right ideas in the right framework or structure to then publish something. So Inner Circle is an idea that I've been thinking about for about 4 or 5 years. I've accumulated enough content, ideas, perspectives. I'm starting to do more executive interviews. You'll see some of that in this guests in this live stream and podcast. And the goal is to really set the stage for the release of the book and really set the stage with some of these ideas over a period of time. So I thought in this initial episode, talk about what to expect and really get into, and I've got some notes that I wanted to share in this episode, defining. I don't think we define an aspiration or an idea well enough or thoroughly enough. And by the way, I don't have all the answers, and I welcome your comments, your feedback, your input on this. I'm live right now on LinkedIn and YouTube and X, if you follow me there. And the goal is weekly sessions, a combination of my ideas and perspectives, but also guests. I'm going to interview a whole bunch of executive friends and clients and partners and people, again, I respect a great deal for their lens as to this idea of inner circle. Similar to, I think I'm creating a knack for this. Relationship economics, curve benders, co-create. I like words or descriptors that hopefully leave you wanting more. You tell most people relationship economics, and they kind of get it. Light bulb goes off of, I get relationships and I get economics. I may have not seen them put together, but at least I'm intrigued to want to know more. So similarly, inner circle, I think most people hear it, have a perspective, have an idea of what this thing is or could be or should be, but I want to make sure we get crystal clear on defining it and give you attributes, give you a lens into kind of how I'm thinking about this idea. So to give you a quick background, I'm a big believer of an expert first, a consultant, coach, speaker, whatever, distant second. So as I said earlier, and the way I started with my introduction is I've been a student of business relationships for 2+ decades. And I've got several bookshelves in the office, and I've read at last count over 100 books on networking and business relationships and social network analysis, and really this idea of your connections, right? And I think you would agree that some relationships you have are deeper than others. I think that's a fair assessment, and others are more relevant to what you're doing. And the layman's term, or the way I described this in the past, is thinking of your neighborhood. Why did you socialize with some people and not others on the same street? Why did you see some people more often than others on the same street? Why did you stay in touch with some of those neighbors from your previous neighborhood after you moved away? And layman's terms is they got me, or we had chemistry, or we're a lot alike. And I would submit in the professional context, people we're drawn to, people we connect with, whether they be customers, partners, investors, colleagues, we have very similar values. We have shared aspirations. We have things that we enjoy. We actually enjoy. We do have chemistry. I think that part is really important. We have built rapport. There's this natural exchange, right? Sociologists tell us when we meet somebody else, we give a little, they take, they judge, they give a little back. We take, we judge, we give a little back. And it's this natural exchange of give and take. So in all the books I read, I couldn't find a scale that showed me this, that, I have different relationships at different levels. And very specifically, I was thinking about this idea of, as I said, depth and relevancy. How long have I known someone, and how relevant are they to what I'm trying to do, to where I'm going, to what's important to me, to where and how I choose to invest in people? Who do I prioritize? Who do I make sure I emphasize in, my investment of time, effort, and resources? So years ago, I'm gonna share my screen, and I'll if you're just listening to the audio version of this, before we wrap up, I'll share how you can get some of these resources that I share in the live session. And by the way, an incentive to kind of try to join us live if you can. But if you can see my screen, years ago I wrote and I created this thing called the relationship value pyramid, and it's based on, as you can see, depth and relevancy. And just very quickly explain it, the foundation of it, almost like everybody we meet, I call situation. You see them in kids, other parents who meet with the kids, sporting events and conferences, and back in the day when we used to exchange business cards, it's the stack of you never know business cards, right? Your access to them is occasional, and it's a very collegial relationship. From that group, there's a subset that you kind of click with. Again, there's a rapport, there's a relational on-ramp. You connect with in a meaningful way, and they become investments where you're investing time, effort, resources to get to know them, give them a chance to get to know you. I call them, your access to them is regular, and it's a very cooperative relationship. So we call those investments. A subset of that group become your go-to relationships in a specific topic, in a specific geography. Your access to them is frequent because of their subject matter expertise. And it's a very collaborative relationship, ideally sales and marketing, finance and accounting, legal, HR, right? So you genuinely feel like you co-create value together. You genuinely feel like you're better off because of your work together. Again, we call them portfolio. They are your go-to people in a specific subject matter, geography. They know more about that topic than anybody else I know. Oh, who am I going to call that person because of that expertise? The very pinnacle of everybody you know, we call your 2 a.m.s. These are business. I'm assuming your brother or brother-in-law would pick up the phone if you call them at 2 in the morning. I know, a big assumption. But these are business relationships that has a certain X factor that you've elevated over time. This is not a project, right? Where you're working 12, 15 hours a day with somebody for a period of time. The project ends. You go their way, your way, they go theirs, and you don't see each other anymore. This is holistically, not a sliver of time, more holistically. Who's at the pinnacle of everybody you know? Who are your most prized? Who are your most valuable relationships? Again, your access to them is immediate, and it's a very interdependent relationship. You don't hopefully have to impress these people. You really could call them 2 in the morning, and the first question is, are you okay? They're always asking, how can I help? How can I support you? They have, either through your own efforts or their own, you've created a vested interest that they have in you. More importantly, seeing you elevate, amplify, enhance who you are and what you do. So inner circle is really tightening the aperture on those 2 a.m.s. Inner circle is really further defining, almost like if you were to go to the side of just that tip of that pyramid. That's who inner circle is. That's who I really want to spend time on this live stream and podcast talking about. And I think is important. So A, you get the background of where it's coming from. And by the way, as I said, we're live on LinkedIn, YouTube, X. I would encourage you, jump in, comments, questions. I want to make this interactive. And we'll also show you how you can, if you're listening to a recorded version of this. So let's start by defining inner circle. This is a crisp definition that I've come up with. And then what I want to do is I want to break it down to 10, this definition into, 10 bullet points, 10 further points that I want you to think about. So I captured inner circle as a curated group of high value relationships that inspire, challenge, elevate, and amplify your personal and professional growth. How do they do that? Through mutual trust, measurable collaboration, and shared success. Let me say it again. I've defined inner circle as a curated group of high value relationships that inspire, challenge, elevate, and amplify your personal and professional growth through mutual trust, measurable collaboration, and shared success. And I will, again, share this in the chat, in the comments, and as a reference for you, so you kind of understand where that's coming from. So now let's break down this definition a little bit. Again, I'm always nervous about, aspirations or people, want to go somewhere without really defining where we're going and how do we know we've gotten there. And this is one of my favorites in relationships. Are you and I in the same conversation? Because this is the conversation I think I'm in. If you're not in the same conversation, we're going to kind of pass each other, right? So I think really honing in on clearly defining kind of what we're after. How do we define this? Create, in essence, guardrails for avoiding misunderstandings or going sideways and chasing that shiny new object or person. Or, I hear this all the time. I met this person at this conference and they were fabulous and I want to spend more time with them. But are they aligned with your goals and strategies and where you're going? No. But they were fabulous and I met them at this conference and I want to go spend more time. But are they aligned to any of the goals or aspirations you create for yourself this year? No. But they're fabulous. That's a shiny object related to an individual. Now, I believe in serendipity as much as the next person. But the reason I'm defining inner circle, the reason I'm giving you these 10 attributes, these 10 definitions is not everybody's going to fit this mold, and that's okay. But let's take them one at a time. And what I really want you to think about is a scorecard for yourself. As you think about, we're going to talk about who should be in your inner circle. What are the rules of engagement? How do you get in the inner circle of others? When do you know that is the right person or the wrong person in that inner circle? So we're going to give you more of a framework. I'm going to give you, and as I interview the executives who are going to be guests in the coming weeks, I'm going to ask them the same. Their definition, examples of people that are in their inner circle. Are they, on the inner circle of other people? So we're going to take this concept and go deeper, but let me start with these 10 attributes. So again, the definitions in the comments, if you haven't seen it yet: a curated group of high value relationships that inspire, challenge, elevate, and amplify your personal and professional growth through mutual trust, measurable collaboration, and shared success. So let's break it down. Number one, an intentionally curated group. This isn't willy-nilly. This isn't from seat of your pants. This isn't you getting out of bed one day and saying, I like this concept. I'm going to bring your people into my tribe. No. Intentional, curated group. These are again, if you remember, the reason I brought up the value pyramid is these are your most valuable. This is your most prized. These people are critical to your personal and professional success. So what I want most for you is that intentionality. Be intentional about, this is a really high valued real estate. The seats around that table. So be intentional about who should occupy that seat. And this isn't something you're going to do from seat of your pants. So we've got to get crystal clear on some of these attributes. Number one, an intentional, curated group of, right? Intentional, curated group. High value relationships. Now, that could mean very different things to you than it does me. But you know what? I wrote a book on this topic, and I call them curve benders. Your personal and professional growth cannot be this gray line. You know what this is? This is what we got to jolt some excitement into it. Like, is there a pulse there? Ideally, your personal and professional growth is this curve. And my supposition is the market is way too dynamic. At the time of the recording of this, the Consumer Electronics Show is going on. And I stayed up late last night. I live on the East Coast to watch the CEO of NVIDIA present his keynote at the Consumer Electronics Show. The market is so dynamic. The market is moving at such an accelerated pace. This gray line might as well be the kiss of death. You know what this is? This is the fixed mindset. This is steady as she goes. This is don't bother me. I am retiring mentally. Whereas this says the only way I'm going to keep up, the only way I'm going to learn and grow is through a few high-valued relationships. So I want you to really tighten that aperture on what does high-value relationships mean to you? What do they look like? And I'm allergic to vagueness. Give me an example. One of mine, Randy Seidel. I've known Randy for a whole bunch of years. You can't help but want to become a better sales leader, a better executive around Randy Seidel. Right? Known him, I've coached him, known him, right? We've gotten, working together on the sales community. He's now an advisor to Avnir. So Randy's one of those people for me. More recently, and complete opposite end of that spectrum, a longtime friend from my Emory grad school, Bob McIntosh. Bob retired as a general counsel of a publicly traded company. You'll be hard pressed to meet a more measured executive. Now, he may not have my energy, right? But he's got wisdom where he'll forget things, in 5 minutes that it take me a year to learn. So what I'm asking you to do is when I say high valued relationships, get intentional about identifying potentially some of these people. Who are the people that, and again, we'll get to this, raise the bar on who you are? Who are the people that push you to become the best version of you? Number 3, inspire. Motivation is intrinsic. Motivation is inside every single one of us. You cannot motivate me. Motivation has to come from inside each of us. What you can do is inspire me. And I'm inspired, full disclosure, by intellectual horsepower. I love being around people who make me think. I love being around people who ask me questions that I haven't thought of. Because it conveys their credibility. And what they do is they inspire me to want to go do great things. As many of you know, in the past year, I've launched Avnir. It is a Herculean effort to take 22 years of relationship economics and build a system of agents, AI agents, that do a lot of this heavy lifting, relational heavy lifting for you. So I am inspired by other founders, other entrepreneurs who have built something great, who have built or are building something great. And I'm trying to surround myself with as many as I can meet. We're embarking on this fundraising journey. One of the things I'm looking for is a VC partner who's going to inspire me to become the best founder, the best CEO for our young company that I can be. So that inspiration is critical as an attribute of your inner circle, because they light, and you need to hear this, they light a fire within you, not under you. I've never believed lighting a fire under anybody lasts. It doesn't. Think about it, right? Ever since my kids were little, and I used to play soccer. Both kids played soccer, and one of the best attributes of a great soccer player is IQ of the game. In most sports, right? They understand it, they process it, and in soccer, you kind of see the play happening, right? And I'm standing on the sideline. I coached them for a while, but then as a parent, you stand on the sideline, you see the play developing, you see that wing running, and the midfielder's gonna put the ball where that striker's gonna be there. You kind of see it. And the biggest frustration for me always was, you cannot will for your kids to be where the play is happening. They've got to pick up that IQ themselves, right? Similarly, again, your inner circle cannot motivate you. They can inspire you to new heights. They can inspire you beyond your own perceived limitations. But that inspiration's got to be there. It can't just be happy talk. I got to tell you, in my own transition from an advisor, coach, consultant to an operator, not only do I have a new level of respect for operators, the more I see soundbite advice by academia who has never led, who's never managed, who's never done anything, who's never been in the arena, and yet is sharing drive-by advice on how to be a great leader and how to be a great, give me a break. So your inner circle cannot motivate you. They have to inspire you. And ideally, that inspiration comes from having done it. If you've never been in the arena, I believe it's going to be very difficult for you to inspire others to greatness in the arena. If you've just joined us, I defined inner circle. It's in the comments. And I'm breaking it down to its 10 core tenets, in essence. So an intentional, curated group of number 2, high value relationships. I call them curve benders. That, number 3, inspire. Again, motivation is intrinsic. Inspiration can come from this group, should come from this group. Number 4, challenge. One of the obstacles to growth, personal and professional growth, are blinders. And what I've seen is tenure, seasoning solidifies those blinders. So the longer you've been doing something, the longer you've been at something, the more hardwired you get, the more stubborn you get, the more I already know how to do all this you get. And you need in your inner circle a group of individuals who politely, respectfully, in a healthy way, push back. We all do. You need your assumptions and assertions challenged. You need adults in the room who are going to say, Nour, friends call me Nour, that's interesting. How did you come up with that? Why do you think that way? What do you believe is going to happen in the next 3 steps? Not for the sake of creating conflict, not for the sake of creating friction, not at all. And by the way, you got to be mature enough to understand that my inner circle isn't attacking my manlyhood or my character or they're challenging my assumptions and my assertions. Because if I go down this path with a whole bunch of assumptions, you know what that is? That's a 2x4 with a rusted nail in it coming at my head that I never see coming. So will your inner circle be able to challenge you? And again, I've always said, convey your credibility to the questions you ask. Ideally, they're asking you great questions that you haven't thought of. And you need to hear this. I'm never afraid of what I don't know. I'm always afraid of what I don't know. And you want to surround yourself with people who are going to bring different lenses, different perspectives, and challenge your assumptions and your assertions. We can all say things. Here, my least favorite. End of the year, have you seen all the predictions people make? Last time I checked, none of us have a crystal ball. So we all do it. We all make these assertions. And I'm telling you, your inner circle needs to have individuals in it who are going to say, where the hell did that come from? How do you know? What evidence do you have? What observable behaviors do you have? And those questions make them invaluable. Because they force you to think. They force you to think before you speak. They force you to think before you react. They force you to be able to defend your position, not just regurgitate it. Why should we go in this direction? Why are you doing this? How are you doing that? That is not what you said last time, and this is the way you're showing up. Those are all challenges we all need to hear. So your inner circle has to be comprised of people that can hold their own, particularly with, let's be honest, alpha males, particularly with Middle East, right? High energy, right? Over the top sometimes. You need people who are going to match that energy level, match that intellectual horsepower, match that systems thinking or reasoning, and say, that's interesting. Tell me more. Where'd you get that from? How did you arrive there? Connect the dots for me. So if you just joined us, I'm giving you the core tenets in defining an inner circle. The definition is in the comments. Number 1, an intentionally curated group. 2, high value relationships. I call them curve benders. 3, who inspire you. Again, motivation is intrinsic. They cannot motivate you. They got to inspire you to great heights. 4, we're going to challenge you, your assumptions, your assertions. 5, elevate, bolster, put on a pedestal, be a cheerleader. High performers go 100 miles an hour. High performers put in everything. You've heard the old expression, leave it out on the field, all of it on the field, so you have no regrets. And you know what sucks? End of the day, high performers are also human, and they're going to have bad days. They're going to have setbacks. They're going to have things that don't go their way. They're going to lose great people. They're going to lose great deals. They're going to get rejected. And most high performers I've met have pretty tough skin. They're pretty resilient. They can recover. But we all need people who bolster us. We all need people who, I don't need you to solve it. I learned this from my wife, by the way. I don't need you to solve it. I just need you to hear me. We need people that elevate us. We need people who, bolster us. It's okay. That's not really a big deal. This too shall pass. That's one of my favorite phrases. This too shall pass. It's never as good as you think. It's never as bad as you think. So people who elevate us, champion us in rooms we're not in. People who elevate us, defend us when we're misspoken about. People in your inner circle who elevate you, introduce you to opportunities you're not even aware of. They refer you, they recommend you unsolicited because they know you, and they will always rather bet on the jockey and not the horse. So elevate is a critical tenet of your inner circle. That's number 5. Number 6, amplify. Now, those two are a little different. Elevate is, right, vertical. They elevate you up. Amplify is horizontal. They create broader awareness. They are, Liz Wiseman talks a lot about multipliers. They are absolutely, your inner circle are force multipliers. They extend your reach horizontally. None of us are scalable. So inner circle becomes your billboard. And the most valuable billboard? Word of mouth. I've always said, if people are not referring you, every referral is a recommendation. If people are not referring you, this would be a really good time to ask, why is that? Because your inner circle will absolutely amplify you, your strengths, your aspirations, your path, your journey, right? So you want these people to, the 4 things, inspire, challenge, elevate, and number 6 is amplify. These are tenets of your inner circle. Number 7, I want to keep us moving. To what benefit? To what end? And one of the exercises that I do in my coaching, consulting, leadership development program, I ask people to map their success to date. So it's a really simple exercise, horizontal and vertical. Think about where you've been, what you've done, and then however you define success, just kind of, graph your success to date. And if you think about how most people define success. A lot of them say, I got my first job. I got my first management, leadership job. I got promoted. When I got an MBA, I got married. I had kids, right? Each of these steps or phases in that journey, I would submit, I can tie back to personal and professional growth. So your inner circle should absolutely fuel. I want you to think of them as jet fuel in your personal and professional growth journey. The problem is we all have relationships who want to help us. They have no idea how to help us. And for whatever reason, we become sheepish in asking for that help. So you need to hear this. People cannot help you if you're not crystal clear on, this is my journey from now to next. Here's where I am today. Here's where I'm going. And by the way, for the love of sweet baby Jesus, nobody can remember 75 priorities. So if you're overwhelming people with here are all the things I'm trying to do, nobody can handle that. Here are the 3 things I need to get done this year. Here's 3 areas where I could use your help. So as we define inner circles, and I'm sharing the core tenets of them, It's a highly curated group of people, high valued relationships. Again, I call them curve benders that inspire, challenge, elevate, and amplify. Let me say it again. Inspire, challenge, elevate, and amplify. To what end? Your personal and professional growth. Make no mistake about it. The day you stop learning and growing is the day you're no longer relevant to your biggest asset, which is your portfolio of relationships. The products and services, somebody's always going to have a better product, faster product, cheaper product, better service, different service. What they don't have is you. I'm dating myself. 30 plus years ago, I worked for a company called Silicon Graphics, SGI. At its time, the NVIDIA of that time, right? And back then, we used to have these business cards. For the younger audience, business cards are these triangular things that we used to carry around. And I would turn my business card and ours were blank on the back. And I would write at that time, cell phones weren't as prevalent. I would write my home number. And anybody, number one, I didn't dispense business cards like they were coupons. Let people ask for them. So when I gave somebody a business card, I turned it over and I said, that's my home number. If you need anything, call me. Because I never saw my relationship as a 9 to 5. And people would, even back then, 30 plus years ago. So if you're not crystal clear on your personal and professional growth journey, my journey from now to next, if you don't are crystal clear on what that looks like, people cannot help you. And I've got a whole bunch of friends and relationships that come, hey, do you know anybody? Yeah, I know a lot of people. To what end? So arm people with ammunition to be able to intelligently articulate. Let me introduce you to Nour, good friend. He's just launched this AI platform called Avnir. Here's the 3 things he's trying to do. That's where your inner circle will be most impactful. So we're just talking about tenets of inner circle. And again, I'll share all these in a second. 8 is providing unquestionable mutual trust. So we talked about who are they? Intentionally curated group of high value relationships. I call them curve benders. What do? Inspire, challenge, elevate, amplify. To what end? Your personal and professional growth. Now we're getting to the foundation which makes all of this either succeed brilliantly or fail and fall apart spectacularly. The first one, and this is a non-negotiable, is unquestionable mutual trust. We hear of integrity. We see it on posters. It's like motherhood and apple pie, right? You're never going to meet somebody that says, nope, integrity is not important. So most people get the importance of trust. I'm not convinced they understand its significance. If you lie to me, it's over. If you don't tell me the truth, we can't work together. That trust, and you've trust me. I've looked this up. If you search trust, any of the search places, you're gonna get millions of references. So we kind of all know what it is. How do you build it? How do you nurture it? How do you protect it? How do you defend it? How do you make sure it's unquestionable? It's the way you show up day in and day out. The way your inner circle has to show up for you on a consistent basis. So what are you doing to lock down that trust? It's how you show up. It's what you commit to doing. It's committing less to less and ensuring that you deliver on those commitments. It's transparency. It's open communication. It is, here's where we're going. Here's what we're doing. Here's where I'm at. Here, I share with Avnir investors and advisors highlights and lowlights. Because if you just show up and tell me how great everything is and nothing has been a setback, you're either lying or you're hiding something. Tell me who doesn't have any setback. Tell me who doesn't trip and fall. Tell me who doesn't make a mistake. It's not about the mistake. It's about what you choose to do with it after the fact. Hey, I screwed up. So do yourself a favor. Define for yourself what integrity means to you. Define for yourself what people have to do to earn your trust. And for you knowing you better than anybody else knows you, what do you have to do to demonstrate that trust to other people? Because trust cannot be talked about. And just like relationships, it has to be felt. So I said it earlier, and I'm learning. Stop telling people to trust you, because they don't. Trust has to be felt through experiences. So providing, what an inner circle do? Provide unquestionable mutual trust. Trust is a two-way street. 9, collaboration for sake of collaboration is a waste of time. Let's meet. For what? I'm busy. So outcome-based collaboration, dare I say co-creation, is the real value of this inner circle. So people who you feel like you're better off when you brainstorm with them, people who improve, enhance your ideas. None of us have all the answers. I love being around people who can see new ideas at intersections of existing ideas. I have a mentor who says, you know what's brilliant? Something so obvious that nobody else has ever thought of. Those are the people I want on my inner circle, because our collaboration is going to make the outcome better. I wrote a book called Co-Create. People that you can co-create with raise the bar on not just who you are and how you show up, but the value that you create. And I want these people in my tent, in my tribe, to do exactly that. So for our, and I got to tell you, I've been an executive in some venture-backed companies, and I distinctly remember board meetings and some of the early investors who wouldn't read the pre-material, wouldn't really do their due diligence before they came to the meeting. And I see this inside companies too, by the way. And they like to hear themselves talk. So what do? They create chaos. They create friction. They bring up objections just for bringing up objections. I'm like, no, thank you. I don't need those people in my life, much less my inner circle. Listen to what I said earlier. The seats around that table, that's a very high valued real estate. So how are you ensuring that the collaboration with any and all of them is outcome-based? 10, shared long-term success. Inner circles aren't about this afternoon. Inner circles aren't about what you can accomplish this week or this month or this quarter or this year. Inner circles are about the long game. It's about that long-term perspective. Where will I be? What will I be doing? How do I take this nascent idea to unfathomable heights? How do I make this initiative, this project, this effort an unbelievable success? That's what an inner circle does. Through a consistent, disciplined, measured progress. Not perfection, not checking boxes. I got to tell you, I'm on a couple of nonprofit boards, and I resigned from one that had 75 board members. You know how many showed up on a regular basis? 20. You know how many actually did the work? 10. So one of the things I figured out very quickly, in any nonprofit environment, you've got workhorses and you got show horses. You got some people who being on that board is a badge of honor. You got some people that, hey, they drop board positions like it's fabulous martinis. And then you got people who show up and roll up their sleeves and get stuff done. I love those people. And there's a whole lot of committees, teams, initiatives, business units, cross-functional. Oh my God. That needs the Doge treatment. They're so transactionally focused or they're focused on the right priorities that they lose sight of what's the long-term impact of what we're doing together. I don't have the patience. There's the difference between a 56-year-old founder and a 26-year-old founder of a startup. You know who you are. You know who you're not. You not only you get crotchety or crotchetier as you get older, but you just have no patience for wasted time, effort, cycle, right? I don't want to do it. So if you've just joined us, we've been talking about this idea of inner circle. I put the definition in the comments. I'm going to do the same thing with these tenets. So think of these as inner circle tenets. These are critical. These are taking that definition and going dramatically, going profoundly, going a lot deeper into, I told you earlier, I'm allergic to vagueness. So I don't know when somebody says, we should do this better. I'm like, I'm sorry, what does that mean? What does that look like exactly? Or somebody says, we should get really faster at this. Okay, what does that look like? I was talking to a client, a friend, and an Avnir investor earlier today, and I love this guy puts together a personal professional plan, and there's a lot of, I told him there's a lot of motherhood and apple pie on there. So he said, well, what do you suggest? I said, what if there was more depth? What if there was more, right? A tighter definition, a better definition. So there you go. There's and the last part of that is shared success. So there's a tight definition on inner circle. This is, by the way, my next book that I'm writing. I've been researching, I've been interviewing, I've been thinking about these ideas for about 4 years now. And I thought this live stream and podcast would be a great springboard to really help share and shape some of these ideas. So there's a definition, and it's in the comments. I also will show you how to learn more about this topic, and show notes or whatever we'll put there. And then from each of those, I broke it into 10 tenets. So an intentionally curated group of high-value relationships, again, I call them curve benders, that do 4 things: inspire, challenge, elevate, and amplify. To what end? Your personal and professional growth. Your personal and professional growth, right? So then what are the foundational pieces? Unquestionable mutual trust, outcome-based collaboration, and shared long-term success. I don't want anything from you. What I want for you is anything you're working on, start by crystal clear, clarifying its definition, its success, its outcome. It's a GPS. You cannot get from point A to point B if point B is nebulous. If point B is generally that direction, if point B is on the map, follow the blue road, right? You are rudderless. And I regrettably meet a lot of rudderless, say that fast 3 times. I meet a lot of rudderless people who should go back and get crystal clear on the definition of, here's where we're going, here's how we're going to get there. So this is the Inner Circle live stream and podcast. I'm going to be live every Tuesday at noon Eastern. If you've enjoyed this one, I would encourage you, come join us, mark your calendar, Inner Circle. If you can join us live, obviously I'm going to share and show, and I'd love for you to jump in. Nobody has ever hired me or worked with me to teach them how to juggle. So I'd like to bring a lot of energy, but I'm a content presenter. So every one of these sessions is going to have a lot of content, not just me, but as I said, I'm lining up executives I like, I trust, I respect to come be guests. And I'm going to ask them a whole bunch of questions around their inner circle, whether they're part of one or they're building their own. In subsequent sessions of this, I've got the top 10 attributes of an inner circle. We're going to talk about 10 steps to creating, nurturing, and sustaining an inner circle. Top 5 best practices to become a member of someone's inner circle. Rules of engagement. Once you're in, how do you behave? What do you do? What do you not do? How do you invite someone to kind of become part of your inner circle? And I'm a really good excuse for this. Listen, I've been listening to this guy. I've been watching this guy. I've read this guy's work, and this might be useful. Signs a trusted relationship is no longer a good fit for your inner circle. How to ask someone to leave your inner circle. So these are the things we're going to talk a lot about in the upcoming episodes. Now, I promised I would share where you can learn more about this. If you go to avnir.com/forum, avnir.com/forum, this is our private online community. This is and again, I'll put it in the comments. avnir.com/forum is our private online community. I have created an inner circle group. On the left-hand side, there are these almost like interest groups. I will put links. I would put notes. I will put things that I typically share. We'll put transcripts of interviews and show notes in there. The value pyramid that I showed earlier in this session, I'll put a copy of it in there. So I would encourage you. It's a private community. There's some community rules and decorum that you're going to have to follow. There's no spamming. There's no soliciting. But it's a community. It's a private community of like-minded professionals. I would encourage you to come check it out. I'm also fairly active, obviously, on LinkedIn, on X. We're going to put these on our YouTube channel. And I would encourage you, if you want more regular updates than the weekly, follow us there. There's a newsletter on avnir.com. Again, if you go to avnir.com, there's a newsletter. You can also sign up to get early access to our AI platform. We're not generally available. We're doing alpha and beta testing with customers at the moment. But I hope this has been of interest to you. I hope this is value to you. Again, my name is David Nour. This is the Inner Circle podcast, live every Tuesday at noon Eastern. I hope you'll come back. I hope you found this of interest and value, and you'll choose to jump in with your comments, questions. Again, I've been thinking about these ideas, and I would welcome your perspectives either here or in the forum. So thanks for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care, everybody. All the best. Bye-bye.